All right. Hello, Mr. Fleury. How are you?
Good man. How's things? How you getting on?
Hey, firstly, thanks for joining us and congratulations to the big match that you won recently in Czech Republic. It
Cheers.
was crazy to see, to be honest. I mean, you spoke about it as well, what Carlos was able to withstand. It was unbelievable, especially with
Yeah,
you.
it was.
You are quite a power puncher. So,
Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe, like, it, honestly, like, even looking at it back,
right.
some of the shots that landed, like, they were fucking, like, some of them I missed, but some were right on the chin,
Right.
and like, they hit the spot, and I was like, well, if they land, it's gonna be over. And they landed, and it fucking wasn't over. So,
Yeah.
and
Crazy,
I don't
crazy
know how the
match.
fuck he took the shots.
Yeah. I mean, we've never seen Carlos in this position before because he always wrestled everyone and was really good in his game. You were able to like cancel his game and land the shots, but he was standing, which was awesome. Anyway, you won the title. That is awesome. Congratulations from our side. And in recently, we don't have any Czech champion in Octagon. Carlos was
I
the last
saw
one.
this, yeah.
So there's no one from Czech Republic being champion in Octagon right now, which is kind of strange situation. And I read a article with you on esport, and you said you would like to understand the market, understand the organization, and be a big name here, which is kind of cool. I like the approach that you are trying to understand how it works here because you fought all over the world. You fought in Bellator, PFL, UAE Warriors. I don't know where else. If you would compare those organizations with Octagon, how would you like put it or find the differences or something?
Yeah, like a lot of different places and EFC in Africa as well. So I traveled all over the world a lot to buy like. And what I will say is like number one, Octagon are probably the most professional company I've worked with, even more so than Bellator or PFL. Like behind the scenes, things are very well organized. You know, if they say something's going to happen, it's going to happen. Whereas with a lot of the other guys, you know, you get a message about this and then you're not sure, and 2 weeks later you're still like, is this really happening? Or
Yeah,
like a lot of the messaging was vague, the communication wasn't great. Sometimes still I feel like, hey, you guys could talk to me like let me know what's going to happen in advance. But I can understand sometimes why you don't know things in advance because they have a lot of options.
cool.
But once something is set, you trust them and you're like, okay, they've told me this is going to happen, it's going to happen. And the promotion, they create a narrative, they create like a good story behind every fight.
Yeah,
And sometimes I've felt like I need to create the story so they can buy into it a little bit. But
right,
once you do this, they do a really good job of also buying into it and promoting the fight.
right.
So to work with, they've been by far the best promotion I've worked with. But I want to also say, like, Czech culture is really like, and I'm not like picking up your guys because I think like your fighters probably need to do a better job. But the culture of the supporters in the Czech Republic and in Slovakia as well, it's really good. Like you really get behind your athletes, you really get behind your guys, and like Ireland's good like that in a way.
Yeah,
But the infrastructure, like our mainstream media, doesn't pay any attention to MMA.
I see.
So even when Conor won the world title, because of like there's like a class divide in Ireland of like upper class people don't follow fighting,
Yeah,
whereas the lower class people kind of follow fighting. And it's a weird, there's like a strange dynamic to it all. In Czech Republic, it seems like the mainstream media get behind it, all of the big journals, like it's on the news, it's everywhere, you know. The fans are like the mainstream and the fans are more invested in the actual fights, which is class. Because it creates a culture where like the average person knows who the fighters are. And that's huge. That's so important. And like it's that's the whole infrastructure that Octagon have built off of. And it like to me, it's like, okay, cool. If I go down and I perform there again and again and I show you guys like, hey, I'm a
yeah.
really good fighter, I've
Hmm.
got a good personality, I can come out, I can do things, I want to promote the fight good, but I don't want to be some asshole either.
Hmm.
I think people will buy into that. So it's exciting to kind of know that you can create a relationship with the fans and that there's a medium to do that. Like
Right.
Czech journalists are interviewing me, you want to interview me, you want to talk to me, show me to Czech people. That's class. That's really like, and people will buy into it a little bit.
Yeah, they will.
And from that, then you can have a career as an athlete in this sport, which is great. So in another like everywhere else I've been, would say with Bellator and the PFL, they paid really good money,
Hmm.
but you felt like there was no narrative, there was no meaning to any of your fights.
Yeah,
With Octagon, you feel like every fight has a meaning and that there's, you know, it's building something. And it's kind of like, if you want it to be and you want to invest in this, it can be your legacy. And I'm really heavily invested in that. Like, I really want this to be like this is my piece of artwork. This is what I'm leaving it out. Like, this is my career, like I've been fighting for a long time, and yet I haven't really had the opportunity to show how good of a fighter I am, I feel like. And thankfully, I feel finally like I have the platform to go and do that through Octagon. And that means a lot to me. And like, Octagon can do that because of the Czech fans and because the Slovakian fans are buying into it. And now it looks like the German fans are kind of getting on board as well. So to me, it's beautiful to finally have this opportunity and have this platform. And the fact that people care about my career now is class, because I've always cared, but nobody else gave a fuck up to now.
I mean, yeah, I used to fight back in the days. Stopped like 7 years ago, so everything was way way worse, I would say. But still,
Yeah.
that is like the story is still the same. You are trying to be someone to make something because it's a hard sport. It's hard. It's a hard way to make a living. It's a fun way to make a living, but it sucks
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
very hard to actually make a real living out of this. And like it feels like the platform to go and do that is there now. So, a lot of guys like when you're in your early 20s, you can train, you can do whatever, and it's not so important. I'm in my mid 30s now. I need to make a
Okay.
fucking living out of it,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's
And
time.
thankfully, like, look, I got the Bellator contract at the right time and I got paid pretty good, but it didn't feel like it was building anything in my career. And because I went with Bellator, you're less likely to get into UFC then.
Right.
So then when I went Bellator, then the only next option was really the PFL. So I got to the PFL. And then obviously the test came back like, they wanted me to move off light heavyweight. I got tested and I tested positive and all this shit. So then it kind of feels like shit. You're in a like, unless UFC want you and you're pretty old now,
Right.
you don't have a ton of options. But like, thankfully, within a year, I've been able to go and change things massively. And like, look, a lot of that's because I've been spending the last 15 years training every day, fucking doing my absolute best to be a class fighter, doing all this shit. But like, I'm really grateful for the fact that I can make a living out of doing this and that Octagon have provided that platform. Like,
Nice. I'm happy to hear that the like Czech companies doing stuff like that and people from the world like you who fought like in big leagues is kind of saying, "Hey, it's pretty cool." That's a good thing.
it's good, like even like the atmosphere at the events, like the atmosphere in the O2 Arena there,
Yeah.
like I fought in the Tree Arena, which is our version, like it's
Right.
the Point Depot in Dublin, it's in the middle of Dublin City. And that was amazing. But it's 9,000 people and like it's one side. So it's kind of like an amphitheater and you walk out to one side
Okay.
and the wall hits you like it's a wall of emotion and it's all support for you. But like in a cool way, it was like the opposite when I walked out in
Right.
the O2 because it's everybody's against you and you're like, this is what it felt like to be an English guy walking out in Ireland. Like,
Nice.
So that was like, and I loved it. I was like, look, they're supporting their guy. This is like it's a good energy.
Nice.
So, like the fact that people are really invested and the fans care, and that like there's a narrative, it's a buzz, it's amazing. I hope you appreciate what you have because in Ireland we had this for a little while,
Mm.
for a couple of years, but it seems to have really gone back downhill. That it's I think all of these things, it's kind of like you have to exploit it while it's good because
Yeah.
right now in the Czech Republic, things like I know you don't have any champions at the moment, but you have a really good domestic fight scene.
Sure.
Even you have like two or three big enough pro, like there's FNC, is it? Or
Yeah. It's
and the
getting bigger.
FNC are the Croatian guys, but
Right. Right. Right.
real fights or what's the other
They say RFA, the Real Fight Arena,
RFA?
but
Yeah,
there's more. Octagon's like the biggest one. They are still rising due to Germany mostly, which is like huge now, and hopefully they will expand into another country soon. I'm guessing. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like you have like pretty good domestic MMA scene at the moment. So like, look, you will have champions again. It's a weird period now where you
Yeah,
don't.
that's not right to right.
But like, you have a couple like that guy, Money Mateus Penas. He's a good
Yep.
fighter. The
Yeah.
guy in the middleweight tournament. Like, I think he has a chance. Like, if they don't put me in that tournament, which it doesn't look like they're going to right now,
Okay.
I think he has a good chance to win this. But there's a couple of good guys in that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Jocko's a good fighter as well. He's going to be tough. He's a
Sure.
very awkward guy to beat. And Penas is a good style to kind of like deal with a guy like him as well. So it's been interesting. Like, I'm
It would.
excited about how that tournament plays out. Like,
Right. Okay. Now something about you. Oh, when did you start with MMA? Did you like when you was a kid? Did you watch like movies with Jean-Claude Van Damme and stuff like that, like I did,
a
or
little
something
bit.
something else brought you to the sport?
So I played rugby as a kid,
Okay.
from like a very young, from like 9, 8, 9 years old. I played rugby, and also I played like hurling, which is, would you know what hurling is?
No, no idea.
It's an Irish sport. Yeah, it's very unique. Like it's like the area I'm from, Tipperary. It's in the south of Ireland,
Uh-huh.
and it's really strong in Tipperary. So
Okay.
like where I'm from, it's very like it will be the most popular sport. But the town I'm from, we're pretty shit. Like we're not very good at it. So I played a little bit as a kid, where like you have like a stick and a ball, and you have
Okay.
to like throw the ball in the air and stick. But it's physical. It's like very. There's a lot of contact. You can hit people a bit. Like so, I grew up playing this and playing rugby. So all of the sports that I did, there was a lot of like contact, people hitting each other. You had to be like tough. But I never really like watched fighting. My
Okay.
granddad was a boxer as well, but like this was a long time before, and he was dead before I was born.
Right.
So always my dad was telling me about my granddad, and he was an amazing fighter and all this type of thing. But it was like 16 before I started to watch fights properly and to like care about boxing and MMA. And then we had a Bravo, which was the channel that like MMA was on.
Okay.
And when I was like 16, we got the subscription like for Sky, which meant I could watch all these fights. So I like, and then as soon as I could watch them, I was like, whoa, these are class. So I was really drawn to it, but it didn't feel like there was anywhere to do this in Ireland. This was like 2003,
Okay.
2004. So a long time. There was an MMA gym in Dublin, but like I lived in Tipperary, which is like 100 miles away. And I
That's
couldn't
fine.
drive.
Okay.
So by the time I actually had like a way to do the sport, I was 21 years old. So I started like I broke my foot playing rugby, and I'd always kind of played with the idea of like, oh, I'd love to train a little bit, but it was mostly rugby I was focused on. And then when I broke my foot, I was kind of a little bit like, fuck rugby, I'm sick of playing it. Like I realized as well, like, I'm not going to make major money playing this.
Right.
And then a guy who was rehabilitating my foot, he told me like some of the best stuff you could do is like boxing footwork. So
Okay.
like to move around like boxing because it was the arch. I crushed like the
I see. Yeah.
arch bones in my foot. And then I went to a boxing gym and they had a cage in the gym. And I was like, "Do you guys do MMA?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, we're planning. We're getting a coach over from America." So they got in a guy, Justin Robbins, who fought in the WEC,
Hmm.
and he fought Wilson Hayes and a couple of like guys who went
Right.
on to do really well. And actually, like he was a fucking good fighter. He was a really good wrestler. So he came over and he coached us, and he was a good coach, like American style wrestling. And then because of that, we knew how to wrestle before all the other gyms in Ireland.
Yep.
So we kind of had a big
It
advantage.
makes
So as
it.
soon as I was fighting, I was able to take guys down and like control position. And it was kind of like rugby as well. And I was big, so it was like easy to be physical. Um, and then we got in a new coach, Jake Hecht, about a year later. So Justin left after about 8, 9 months, and then we had no real good coach for a couple of months. And then Jake Hecht came over, and he was from Michigan. Yeah, I think Michigan. And he trained with Matt Hughes and a couple like in the Militich team.
Okay.
And he was real like old school, hard ass guy. So as soon as he came over, we were doing like really, really tough training. And like we had this like old school American attitude of like just push it to the limit every day. So we were all exhausted all the time, but it was good. Like it was good training for your mindset. Um, and then because of this, we had a pretty good team. And this was only an amateur. So like, an amateur, I was winning. Like, I won all of my fights in amateur. But I felt like he gave us kind of that mentality of like, you have good technique and you smash the guys. So he
Right.
was a really good coach for that. Um, and yeah, then after that, he left because he made it to the UFC. So when he came to Dublin or when he came to Cork, it was actually Cork I was training in back then, which is a city in the south of Ireland. He wasn't with, he was with Cage Warriors, and then he got signed to the UFC from Cage Warriors, and he won two fights, or he won one and lost two, sorry. And then he retired after that. But his last fight, he went back to America to train full time. And then
Right.
he lost the fight and he never came back to Ireland to coach, which was a real pity because we loved him. He was a great guy. Um, and shortly after that, we started coaching ourselves again. And you could feel the difference. It wasn't quite the same. We needed somebody there to bind the team together a little bit more. And then I moved to London and I trained with London Shoot. And that's where I met Carlos and
Right.
the
Right.
lads. And I lived in London for about a year and a half. And once I moved, like, so after about a year and a half in London, I was working full time. So I was in college before and I had a degree and went and worked at my degree, which was shit. I hated it. And after about a year and a half, I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm going to go full time with MMA. So I'd saved up some money from working and I moved back. And the whole Connor thing was blown up huge, where I think he'd already won the belt. No, he was about to fight Chad Mendes. when
Hmm.
I moved back to Ireland. So it was like middle of 2015.
Right.
I moved back to Ireland, and Irish MMA was on a huge up.
Right.
Everything was about Ireland, and Connor was the thing. Like, so it felt like there was going to be a lot of opportunity. And actually, even back then, I thought I had a contract with EFC Africa, and
Okay.
it was supposed to be quite good money. So like, I moved back home thinking I had that sorted out, and then that never came true. So I was spending a lot of my savings, and I hadn't even made my pro debut yet. It was a really stupid idea. Now I wouldn't advise somebody to do this, but I had like a couple of times like a good bit saved up actually, and like then when I moved back, I had no way of making money at all. So I was just eating into my savings again and again and again, and it was like nearly a year before I got my first pro fight,
But
which was it killed me. Yeah,
what did you do as a profession?
I was a quantity surveyor, so
Mhm.
it's kind of like a cost engineer for construction.
Okay.
So if you want to build something,
Yeah.
I will tell you how much it will cost probably to build this, and then maybe ways of doing it a little bit cheaper.
Right.
And also, if you like, if you have a dispute in the contract, this is my job. Like, I hated it really, but like, if you have a dispute and there's like something has to change, you have your quantity spare, so you get one version of me, and
Yeah.
I go to the other guy, and he
Yeah.
has his quantity spare, and we argue about how much it's going to cost. And that was most of my job, was just arguing with people about how much things were going to cost.
That's
So yeah, it wasn't fun.
a fun
Like
job.
I didn't like it. Yeah, and everybody all the time as well because they knew I was a fighter. They'd be like making jokes about like, "Oh, you're trying to intimidate me now. Oh, you're trying to fight me now." And you're just like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, please." I'm just here to do my job. Like,
Right. Yeah. No fun. No fun at
no
all.
shit.
Yeah. These days you are training in SBG Ireland, right?
Yeah. So I've been there for the last nearly 8 years now. So since 2016,
Okay.
2016 to 2024. Yeah, in a couple of months it'll be 8 years.
Did you like travel to train somewhere else? I mean, Thailand, Poland, USA, or somewhere else?
I still haven't gone to Thailand, and I really want to
Okay.
change that. So last year I was supposed to go down to Phuket for a while, and it just ended up not happening, um, unfortunately. But like I've been out to Vegas a few times. Johnny Walker's living over in Vegas now. He's kind of
Right.
saying to come over. So probably actually in the next couple of weeks, I might head off to Las Vegas to train for a few weeks.
Nice.
That's been the main place. I trained there right before I fought Chris Jocko. Um, and I really liked it there. I really liked the atmosphere. So Eric Nixick and Sean Strickland cornered me for that fight against Chris Jocko, which was amazing. That was a brilliant experience. Like, and they're like, Eric's a really calm, cool guy, and Sean's obviously not that calm. But it was a really good mix. And I had Kieran Davern, who like it was Kieran who introduced me to. Well, it was Jake Shields, who he's quite close with. So Kieran's a really high level grappler. And he brought me down to the gym to meet Czech Shields, but it was like, you know, I saw Sean in reception. He was like, "Hey, big motherfucker, come on, you're sparring me today." I was like, "All right, cool,
Okay.
fuck it, let's do it." Like, and we got on pretty well then. So, and then I asked him when he cornered me, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah, cool." And he was actually great in the corner, and he was fucking even like a couple of crazy stories out of that week because I had a really bad ankle injury right before I fought Chris Jocko,
Yeah.
and I'd been like, it was my ligaments were all over the place. My ankle wasn't stable at all, so I had to email the commission in Las Vegas about what strapping I could use, and they were like, anything you use to strap your hands, you can use to strap your ankles.
Okay.
So that was fine. I got the same stuff that I wrapped my hands with, and I strapped up my ankle. And the guy, the commissioner, was watching it. He was like, "Yeah, all good." And he was like, "Now you need a neoprene sleeve to go on top of this." And I
I
was
see.
like, you never emailed me about this. You never said anything before." And then Sean came in and he was like, "No, no, you give us those sleeves." And he was like, "No, no, UFC give us those sleeves and we give them to you. The PFL don't do that."
Okay.
And I was like, "So what happens if I don't have the sleeve?" And they were like, "Well, you either take off all the strapping or you don't fight." And I was like, "I need the fucking strapping. My ankle won't stay in place." Like the bones were like moving
I see.
around. And this was only like 45 minutes before the fight.
Back.
Um, So Sean just like fucking gets on Google and he's like, "Okay, there's a Walmart nearby." Like, so he drove like 20 minutes to a Walmart, drove like 20 minutes back, and he was there like 10 minutes before the fight.
You
So he
just put
came
on the
in with the
sleeve and
sleeves. Yeah, it's just, and it's so stupid. It's just like some ridiculous rule. But thank fuck he was able, like, he had the car, he was able to go get it, sort it all out. Because it would have been a really big deal if I didn't have this strapping. It would have like fucked me up pretty bad.
yeah,
So fair play to him. I really, really appreciated that.
that is cool. That is cool. How is Sean as a person? Because I kind of like him, and I just see his like promotion on the social media. So I don't know him as a person. How is he?
He's much more normal in person. Now
Okay,
he's still a psycho, but like he's a really good training partner.
nice.
As in, like, I think what people miss is he's genuinely invested. Like he gives a shit. And
Okay,
a lot of people who become like bigger stars and bigger fighters, they kind of stop giving a shit about anybody else. So while he's in the gym and he's training, he's looking for everybody on the mat. He's seeing who's slacking and he's shouting at guys. So he creates kind of a team atmosphere. So
nice.
as soon as like he's there, you're all kind of buzzing off like, yeah, we gotta go, let's go. Like, you're giving it your best because like otherwise he's gonna be shouting at you. So you know that if you show up and he's there, it's gonna be, oh fuck, it's a tough day today, no matter what. And when it's because we're kind of like not the same size, but we're pretty similar size wise, he's doing rounds with me. And I
Right.
fucking love doing rounds with him because he doesn't mind going hard. And I don't mind going hard. So the two of us get a good buzz, like, you can joke with him a little bit as well. So training with him is good. Like, I really love training with him. And then afterwards, he's like, we'll shoot the shit for a while. And I like Sean a lot. I think, like, I see the stuff on social media. I see some of the shit he comes out with, and I don't agree with it. And I'm like, hey, we have different opinions, politics wise, everything. But you're a good guy, so I don't give a fuck.
Good, good, good. Nice to hear. And how about training in SBG? Because I think quite a lot of people is coming there for their camps, and you have quite good sparring partners and everything over there, so you don't have to travel that much for sure. Guys from Czech Republic, they usually travel to Poland to find different sparring partners and stuff like that. I believe in SBG, you are pretty much set with everything, right?
Yeah, like for a couple of years, it was really good. So we had me, Carl, and Johnny Walker, all good light heavyweights. And then we had a couple of other guys who used to come in and out. So the three of us were like always there. So
Nice.
you knew you had like two good training partners at least. And then you might have another couple of guys coming and going. But recently, Johnny has like gone off to Vegas. Carl hasn't been around the gym as much. So it's kind of just been me out of the big guys left. So that's why I started traveling over to Las Vegas a bit last year. And I might have to do a little bit more traveling because there kind of is a lack of big guys now at the moment. But still, like the overall, there's a lot of really good people there. There's a lot of like good bodies, even with smaller guys. There's a lot of high level small guys, but you need somebody to replicate big guys in rounds. When you're going to go do hard rounds. I went over to Renegade in Birmingham as well and trained with Fabian Edwards and Manny Byfield and Tom Breeze as well. So really good guys. Really like the atmosphere there. That was a class experience. And I kind of like when I was going over there, I was like, I'll just go over here every couple of weeks.
Yep.
Um, but it's just a little bit of a pain in the ass to get to Birmingham because you have to fly and whatever. So, and I have to pay for my accommodation while I'm out there, whereas I'm paying rent here anyway. So I haven't been over as much recently. But like, I think I'll be traveling there a little bit more to get in some big guys and then traveling to Las Vegas sometimes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. I have a question about Ireland. As we see Ireland, I don't know if it's true, but like you people over there are like thought to be a bit, I would say, tougher or maybe rougher, especially when in the young years. Like, did you do a lot of street fighting and stuff like that, or it was kind of calm?
Yeah, I did have a couple of street fights and whatever because I don't want to glorify it. Like, it's not something about our culture that's good. I think it's kind of a bad thing, like people get drunk, they fight each other a lot. It's kind of embarrassing in a way. It's stupid, like, we need to stop this shit. Like, but yeah, I did get involved in a good few fucking fights as a kid. And like, the thing is, always it was from drinking, you
Right.
know, anytime nobody was drinking, there was no trouble.
I
As
see.
soon as people were drunk, and especially most of the fights I had were in Cork, in a city in the south of Ireland. And I was like a teen, I was in my like late teens, 19, 18, 19, 20 kind of. And you feel like you need to prove yourself to the world. And then some guy pushes you and you're like, oh, fuck you. And you start. So all really stupid shit. But yeah, I got in a lot of street fights like, for about 3 years, I was kind of in street fights a lot. And then thankfully I found martial arts. So after I got involved in fighting, I never ever got in a street fight again.
Yep.
But I had a lot, like, I nearly got killed one or two times. Like I had like 20 guys jump on me outside like a nightclub one night, beat the shit out of me for a long time, and then I was trying to fucking fight 20 guys back. It was just me. A lot of stupid, stupid shit. But thankfully, I'm alive. Everybody else is alive, and we're all good. So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, that perception, it's kind of true, but it's a bad thing. I don't want to glorify it. I don't want to make it seem like it's like a good thing. It's a shit thing, you know.
Right. Right. The drinking culture in your country is kind of good. Same in Czech Republic. We are
Yeah,
drinking quite a lot.
we have a nice drinking culture.
Yeah.
Like in Dublin, actually, there's way less violence. Like I worked as a bouncer in Dublin for a little while.
Okay.
It's good. People drink, they have fun, they go home. In
Nice.
Cork, people drink, they start to get a little bit like, who the fuck is that guy? And then people beat the shit out of each other. And there's a lot of real like bad violence from this. And it's like, what the fuck? People could have just went home. It could have been okay.
Right.
And now some guy's like fucking, half dead on the street. Like, why? It's shit. So yeah, it's we have a really nice drinking culture, and then we have a violent drinking culture as well sometimes.
I see. I
But
see.
I hope, like I see the younger generation, they're not like this as much.
Mhm.
They seem to be more in control, which is good. It's way better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. In one article, I read that your parents didn't really approve you training MMA or something like that.
Yeah, no, not at first. Which I understand. Yeah. Like number one, it's not really a great way to make money. Number
Okay.
two, you're like sacrificing your brain and your health and all sorts of shit. Um, and I suppose at the time, this was kind of like before Connor, so it was a long time ago. My dad was like, "How are you going to make a living doing this? It's not really possible." Like, and I was like, "Oh, I could go and fight in the UFC." And he was like, "How many Irish guys are fighting in the UFC?" I was like, "Well, there will be a lot of Irish guys fighting in the UFC." He was just like, "This is stupid. What are you doing?" So we fell out about this, but like, I understand where he was coming from, but
Right.
also I was like, at the time I was young, I was like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna do this anyway." And yeah, I did, and thankfully now they came to my last fight, which was really nice.
Which is
They
cool.
came to my fight in Las Vegas, which was cool. They've come to a good few of my fights. They've come to all my octagon fights. So like, yeah, it's really nice now. I really like that they're happy to for me to be involved in the sport and that they support it.
Yeah. It's cool that you
But if
proved
they
it.
didn't, I would
You
still
were,
be doing it.
yeah. You proved that you were right, which is cool. But I guess,
Kind of. Well, like, look, I see their point. I see what they meant, but I'm like, look, I fucking love doing this thing, so
yeah.
I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay.
Yeah. In case you have a kid, would you support your kid to do MMA?
I wouldn't stop him. I wouldn't say you can't do it, but I wouldn't be. I'd be like, hey, there's much easier ways to make a living in life. As a fighter, you have very little power. You get told where to fight, who you're going to fight, all this type of thing. It's not like it's a nice lifestyle from a training point of view. From like you are very close with your friends, there's good camaraderie with the guys you're going to train with. All of these are really nice things. But if you want to make money, it's not the best way of making money in life. And you
Agreed.
could have a knee injury and your career is over.
Yeah.
So you have to have another plan. Like, what else are you good at? Keep your mind active, keep everything else going.
That makes
So I wouldn't stop him from fighting, but I wouldn't be like, hey, put everything into fighting.
sure.
Let's go. Because like I've loved it. Like thank fuck I've had this amazing life from fighting. It's been really fun and like I wouldn't change anything, honestly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've been very lucky.
Mm.
Like I never fucked up my knee. Like I've had a lot of bad injuries at times, but I've always been able to make a living. I got the right contracts at the right time. I've been lucky with that. A lot of guys who I know, they've had really horrible times, like where like they were really good fighters, really good athletes, bad knee injury, wrong fight at the wrong time. They lose one fight, their contract is gone, their career is over. And then I see a lot of guys, they're not very talented. They get the right opportunity at the right time and their career goes like,
Right.
and then I saw a lot of guys who were really, really, really talented and they never got that opportunity and their career just kind of slowly went like.
Yeah.
So it's a strange sport. It's not like a soccer player where if you're this good, yeah, you're going to get the chance. In fighting, it's kind of like, are you popular? Do people buy into you know, do people like what you are? Like right now, I'm the Irish guy and I'm trying to sell myself in the Czech Republic.
Right.
I hope that's going to work out long term, but like, I suppose I'm the champion now no matter what. But like, in a way, like with Bellator, you were the Irish guy and they kind of wanted you to be like Connor. And I'm obviously not like Connor.
Right.
So, and I was not going to pretend to be, I like who I am. I'm not going to fucking say I'm going to be somebody else. Like, this is the way I'm going to be. So they straight away, they were kind of like, oh, well, we just wanted another Connor. So why are we paying you so much? I was kind of like, well, fuck you. It's not like it didn't feel like a good relationship, you know. So there's a lot of shit like that involved in fighting, and it's not as like I've been lucky in a way, and I've been unlucky in some ways. But for my kids to do this shit, oh, if they really want to, you know, if they really, really love it and they have passion for this, of course, go do it. But overall, there's better ways to make a living in life, you know.
Yeah, agreed. Speaking of injuries, did you have any like I don't know career-changing injuries? You spoke about the broken foot from rugby, which pretty much brought you
I've
to
had
Hungary, which is a big one. You had any other bigger injuries?
yeah, 1 second. I'm just gonna get a tissue to blow my nose because my nose is killing me. Sorry, I have a fucking sinus infection at the moment. This is what happens when you break your nose 5, 6 times, you know? It's not as fun as it looks, kids. Trust me.
Right.
So yeah, I've had some pretty bad injuries. Obviously, broken nose, um, bad old cauliflower ears. They actually hurt a lot more than fucking. I was not like I didn't want these. This is shit. Um, I've broken a lot of fingers. I've broken my hand 3 times now. So my left hand only. So I broke like the third metacarpal disc bone in the
Okay.
middle here, and then I broke the thumb just last year.
Nice.
Just down here, yeah. So if you compare it to the other thumb, it's different. They don't move the same way at all.
Right.
That one I have retropulsion. This one is like stuck here. That's actually very annoying because even like doing little things around my house, you
Yeah.
notice a lot. Like, yeah, you need your thumb to do a lot of shit. And mine, it doesn't work the way it used to. So that's new. That's only in the last year, and that's pretty bad. Um, I have like my meniscus in my left knee is fucked up. I have no ATFL on my right ankle. I've had like my ligaments in my left ankle are really weird because that was right before the Chris Jocko fight that I fucked up those. So my right ankle is the one that Karlos fucked up years ago. So that just doesn't have the ligaments. But actually, somehow my brain got like good at stabilizing it.
Yeah.
So even though there's no ligaments in this ankle, actually it's like it works. It's still like limited. I can't move it like fully, but the way it works is it's quite stable.
Okay.
Whereas the other ankle, it moves a lot more, but it's really unstable. So I have to strap the other ankle a lot of the time as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, it sounds terrible, but like overall, I'm pretty athletic. Like, it works. I'm here. I'm okay. I'm alive. You know, I look at other guys who are my age, and I'm like, fuck it. I probably have like more injuries and more shit that's a little bit fucked up, but I'm probably healthier than those guys overall as well. Like I look at them, they look a lot older, they look more fucked up, they look more weathered by life. So look, yeah, like it's not easy on your body fighting, but like I think if I was a rugby player, I would probably feel worse day to day. I feel pretty fresh and like fuck. Mostly my brain seems okay still. So,
Yeah.
but I've had a couple of bad injuries. Yeah, it's not like I got away free, but I hope, like touch wood, that things stay good and I stay healthy. And even like this year, like I fought 3 times last year. Obviously, I broke my hand right before the fight with Kvor. But then, as soon as I came back from that injury, and it was a pretty long, like I had to get surgery, and then I was like 2 months without able to, like, doing basically no training besides like weights on my legs and stuff. And then as soon as I came back, my legs were really strong, but I tore my PCL in my knee in my first session back. So my first session, I tore a ligament in my knee, and like a bad one, like where it was like a bad tear. So that was another 2 months out.
Right.
So like this year was kind of crazy in the fact that like I fought 3 times, everything went really well. From the outside, everybody's looking at my career going like, wow, that was amazing. And like last year I had one fight, but last year I was like training all year. So 2023, I had like a really good period of no injuries, training, felt really good. And 2024, I was fucked most of the year, but I fought 3 times and won all these fights and like smashed guys at those fights. So it's like it's funny how your career goes, you know. Usually like I was injured going into every fight this year. Besides, like the last fight, I was pretty good, but like otherwise, I was significantly fucked up going into those fights, and still I got in and performed, and everything was good. Whereas in the past, like like my first fight, I was fully healthy.
Mhm.
I got knocked out. It was my debut with Bellator, and I was like super good going into this. And all the other fights, I'd had like little, not little, like pretty big injuries. Once I had uh, a broken rib,
Yeah,
and the floating rib was like impinging on my core. So every time I threw my right hand, it would like my core would lock up really weird. So I fought in South Africa with that. And I fought twice with that actually, and it was fucking it wasn't like very, very serious, but it was pretty bad. Like if I threw this at the wrong time and
sucks.
it locked up, it could be like you're fucking because it was like spasms. Your body couldn't
Right.
control the spasm, you know. But
Well,
yeah, thankfully I've had a few injuries, but no, I'm alive. That's the main thing.
I mean, it's the quote from Forrest Gump that life is like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're gonna get. That's how it is.
Exactly. So we'll see what injuries come in 2025, you know?
I hope not anything serious. And I went through your record, and there was a fight at UAE Warriors, and you fought Tarek Suleiman,
Yeah.
who is a guy that I met back in the days in Tiger Muay Thai and trained with him for some time. How was the fight? It was 5 rounds and it was decision, so it has to be quite kind of long.
Yeah, it was a tough fight. He's a really tough guy as well. Like actually only recently when I watched the Carlos fight, I was kind of trying to think of like which one was tougher.
Okay.
Um, I think to be honest, like, and I'm not trying to downgrade. I fought Tariq twice actually as
Okay.
well. I fought him once in Brave and once in UAE Warriors. So once we were in Jordan, once in Abu Dhabi, and it was about 4 years between the two fights. The first fight was decision as well. He was really tough. Like first fight, I took him down in the first round. I controlled him the whole round. Second round, I kind of lit him up on the feet, like not lit him up, but like I damaged him on the feet. But he won the third round. Like only one judge gave him the third round, but I actually like watching the fight. I think he won that third round because he took me down. He controlled on top for maybe 2 minutes. He didn't do much damage, but he was in control. And then when I tried to get back up to my feet, he was able to keep me down a lot. The second fight was way more dominant for me. Um, I dropped him in the first round. I very nearly finished him in the first round because he like straight away he tried to enter. I caught him with like an uppercut and he like it twisted his chin. He dropped, but he survived. I don't know how he fucking survived, but he did. So like he just kept grabbing my elbows and he like kept pulling me. He like pulled me onto his back nearly because he was so good at defending the back. He didn't care about giving it up. So eventually I took his back and I tried to choke him and I couldn't choke him. And then the second round, I took his back. I was trying to choke him the whole round. Couldn't. The third round was, I nearly finished him at the end of the round. I was hitting him a lot. Um, but it was never quite as like much damage as Carlos took. Because I was like, Mark Conard was the ref actually. But at one stage in the third round, it looked like he was going to stop it. But like Tarek was kind of always trying to get back to his feet. And then in the fourth round, I thought I knocked him clean unconscious because I hit him like a wide kind of sweeping hook and his jaw whoop. And he just like fell like he fell like straight back. And I kind of like the same shit actually. I put up my hand as in like, yeah, nice one, I did it. And then he like came back too. And he got back on. I was like, what the fuck? Shit. So I should have learned from this mistake because in the third round with Carlos, I thought he was done as well. But a very, very tough guy. Very, very tough guy. And a good guy, like we were talking after, he's a
Hey,
sound guy as well.
he was a good guy.
Yeah.
Like he was training all the styles, like grappling, MMA. Obviously, he fought boxing as well. Like he did that whatever he could.
Yeah. And even like his grappling, that fight as well, because like I was on top for most of the fight. And he kept giving me his back because he was like so confident with the bend in the back.
I mean, he was
And like,
well back in the days already, so he was already.
yeah. No, he was a good black belt in fairness. Because like I had control, I had position, I had everything I wanted, but I was like, shit, I can't really do anything with this. So he kind of knew all the little details and tricks just to kind of stop me. Because he was tired. I could feel I was like hitting him a lot. I was beating him up overall. But he still just had like the right knowledge to keep himself pretty safe in those areas.
I
And
see.
once or twice he was trying to set little shit up. I could feel it. And I was like, no. You know? So good fighter, man. Very good fighter. And
I,
yeah. I think he's fighting soon again, I think.
I'm not sure really. I wasn't following him
I think
recently
he's with the
much, but
PFL now. He's they're doing that card. I think he might be on that card
yeah,
in
I mean, it has to be at least
Dubai.
40, 43 or something. He's not really young, right?
Oh no, he's not that old. I think he's like my age.
Okay,
No, he
I
just looks old. No, he's
just look
he
so.
just looks better. I think because he has a kid recently, but I think he's like 35, 36
Okay,
maybe.
still good, right?
I hope. I know.
I'll try to find it out. And like a different thing. How about your hobbies in your life when you are not in the gym, not fighting? Do you have some hobbies or something that fulfills your life in the rest of the
Yeah,
time?
I'm really, really boring person to be honest. Like I used to drink a lot more. These days I
Okay.
drink a lot less. I like to listen to history podcasts and go on long walks.
Okay.
That is actually what I do in my free time. It's very fucking boring, but it's actually like I find it really fun. Um, so I get in the sea a lot as well, like because I live pretty close to the sea in Ireland now, and it's beautiful, even during the winter. So I don't go swimming like I used to go like maybe twice a week.
Okay.
Now probably two, three times every month. But I still try to get in the sea a lot and like yeah, just like hill walking, going to the sea. I like to be outdoors in my free time a good bit, but the weather here is really, really shit most of the time. So it is hard to get out a lot. Like, so if the weather is really shit, I'll just stay inside and watch like documentaries and history stuff. Like, history is kind of my big thing. I just love like even different little things. Like, recently I got massive into Mongolian history
Okay.
and like not just the Mongol Empire, but like even before that, like what was before Genghis Khan, what were the Mongols doing? This type of shit, like So I just get really fascinated by little weird shit in history, and like I love Irish history obviously because our history is like pretty fascinating. And then like with what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, I was studying a lot about like the past in Palestine and like what happened and how the Zionist movement started and like what kind of the whole precedent to the last couple of years has been. Because it
Right.
was something that I knew a little bit about, but not a ton about. And I started reading a lot more about that in the last like year. Yeah, it's awful. It's really, really terrible. So yeah, like just knowing the context of what's going on, and even when you can understand history, I think it gives you like you see how humans behave,
Mhm.
under pressure. Like it gives you a good we haven't changed that much. We
Yeah.
think we're so different
There are
now.
some patterns
It's
that
the same
like
shit.
repeat, right?
Yeah. And it's not like history really repeats itself, but it's kind of like humans. Humans are the same thing.
Yeah.
We're the same as we were back then. It's just a slightly different situation now. So, but like overall, you could basically tell, like, you put people in a position of power, here's what they will do.
Okay. Yeah. 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 It's kind of interesting to be honest. I didn't expect that. Cool. Okay, so this was the YouTube part, and we will move to the hero section where I have a few questions from our fans. Uh, Have you got something you want to say, like because this part is gonna everyone will be able to see this part? Is there something you would like to say to Czech fans or anyone who's going to watch it?
Just the Patreon itself or the Czech fans in general.
Well, Czech fans in general, whatever.
Well, thanks, William, for coming out and fucking supporting Carlos the last and for booing the shit out of me.
Right?
I hope I gave you some good entertainment, and I hope you'll support my next fight. And yeah, look, like I hope I'm around for a long time, whooping ass, and then I get to defend this belt a lot of times, and that me and you guys have a good relationship overall.